Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Another month has passed. May has been an interesting one weather-wise, in the UK at least. We've had hail and then 2 weeks later 35-degree heat. So glad that's a bit in the past now. I'm not a hot weather person. But in the world of hobby, been quite productive actually. Done a couple of different things, played a variety of games, and actually picked up some nice things as well. So looking forward to the next month. We've got Broadside coming up, so I'm putting on a epic pike and shot game. Just need to paint 1 or 2 units up for that, and that'll be kind of a gate for the project, which is fantastic because that epic pike and shot box is quite large. And then kind of onwards onto a couple of other projects which I'll chat about. Anyway, that's enough for my face. Let's have a look at what I've painted in the month of May. So to start off with the new Armies of Italy book that I picked up at Salute this year, I delved back into my Italians and decided to paint some armour up that I had lying around. So I've got an Auto Blinder 41. Again, apologies if I butcher any of the pronunciations here. I don't speak a word of Italian. So an Auto Blinder 41, AB 41, M14 41 medium tank. wasn't a medium tank by the time it was really in service, and then the Semavente 4732. So start with the AB 41. This is the Warlord Italieri plastic kit. Picked this up a little while ago when I was doing prizes for the most recent tournament. Quite a nice model. It was a little fiddly to put together. The chassis, I recommend building all of the chassis in one sitting so you can play around a little bit if it doesn't quite fit. There was a little bit of some of the joins were in odd places, as you get in Atelieri kits, but with the finished product, really happy with it. Always nice to have a crewman. I like having crewmen sticking out, particularly we've got this lovely blue tankers mechanics kind of border suit that they wore, the Italian armoured units wore. Really handy. I always like armoured cars like this. Doesn't matter in chain of command or bolt action, you can always find a use for them. It's in the free-tone European camouflage, so realistically this can only be used for anti-partisan patrols and the brief fighting you had in Rome when the Italians switched sides. I find it really interesting that the Arete 2 division, armoured division, they tried to stop the Germans taking Rome, but were overwhelmed within the week. But it's some interesting, quite hard fighting actually that happened. So for vehicles that I can't do for Sicily, that weren't there for Sicily, then I'll do them for the Battle of Rome, because they're all in the kind of mid-war European camouflage. So moving on to the M1441, again, same free tone European camouflage. Same style, so I kind of apply the base coat colour, Vallejo green ochre, then the green and the brown, give it a wash, and then re-highlight, leaving a few gaps and a bit of stippling to just give it kind of that spray painted look. I'm not interested in having an airbrush and fiddling around with that, so I'm quite happy with the contrast that this gives. Again, this is a Warlord Italieri kit. I didn't have any issues with this one, apart from the turret. You have to put all the panels on together, so again, do all that at once, have a bit of patience, but yeah, quite nice. Lovely tash on this guy, better than my tash, that's for sure. And he's got a little machine gun on the top as well. Use some weathering powders, as I do for all of my Sicily vehicles, whether they're Italian or the British ones that I've painted. I think I used to certainly go a bit too far with the brush, like dry brushing too much mud on European vehicles, but I think the weathering powder kind of tones down the tracks a little bit, and it stays nicely in the recesses of the tracks, so it's quite handy and not too difficult to use at all. So yeah, happy with that. Doesn't need too many transfers. You can put some there is like supposed to be one here, a kind of number for each tank, but it was so fiddly. I played around with it twice and I went, no one's going to notice. But now I've told you all, so you'll notice if they come up on the channel again. But yeah, nice one. And the final one is the Semavente 4732. So this is a resin and metal kit from Warlord. So the history of the vehicle is they took the turret off the L640 light tank and stuck a 47mm gun in, and they called it a tank destroyer. Now, it's not particularly potent, but again, the Italians were woefully undergunned for much of the war. They were always a step behind the Allies. And I picked up the resin and metal one from Warlord. I don't really have an issue with the resin and metal kits. I've done a video which I'll link about how to build them and my top tips for reducing the stress that they can cause. But the main reason I wanted to buy this over getting a 3D print is you get these lovely metal crew. And I'm a big stickler for having crew in open top vehicles, otherwise, well, there's no one in there. And you get two really nice crew figures, full models as well, that I painted separately and stuck in, again in this bright blue. So it just makes the tank look a bit alive. This is quite a crap vehicle on the tabletop, but that's not going to stop me from painting it up and using it as well, because that's the joy of being an Italian player. But this one doesn't have the free tone. These were used in quite large numbers in Sicily, but I found no evidence that they had the free tone camouflage. Happy to be told otherwise, but what limited photos I had access to, they were just kind of painted in this sand colour. So again, just weathered that to give a bit of texture to the model, and that's done. So nice little armoured upgrade to my Italians. So they add to the existing medium Semivente and the 4 R35s I have. And this is my second AB41 as well. So quite happy with that. So the other thing I painted, unsurprisingly, was some more epic pike and shot. With the broadside game coming up, I needed 2 more pike and shot regiments. So I painted one this month, so just one more to go with 2 weeks to paint it. So plenty of time. But this regiment has been one that I think any English Civil War collection probably has, and it's Newcastle's Whitecoats. Now, so I go slightly unorthodox. I kind of just paint the well-known regiments and not depending on theatre. So I've got regiments that really only served in the southwest, with regiments that only really served in the north, but just because I've got the flags for them, and you know a bit more about their coat colours. So unsurprisingly, Newcastle's Whitecoats do have white coats. I use Vallejo Sky Grey, which is it's almost an off-white, rather than painting white, as I go for a black base coat on these figures and then just leave gaps for that kind of texture. So painting white straight onto black is a bit of a nightmare. But quite happy with the look. This is now, I believe, my 8th, maybe even my 9th pike and shot regiment I've painted. So I kind of know the sculpts well, but they're always nice when you finish one unit. It's a bit of volume to it. So yeah, quite happy with that. Variety of hat colours just to kind of spice it up. Again, because you're not going to see that uniformity even amongst this unit that you would see maybe 100 years later, or especially 150 years later. But I will say, for the Marquis of Newcastle, thumbs down for giving your troops white coats. That is the sin of any historical general, as far as I'm concerned, because white is a nightmare to paint. It's much easier if you give them green, blue or red. But for some reason, I don't think he's a subscriber. And in the back as well, just a very quick paint job of this. Let's move these pikes out of the way, actually. Of this Sarissa church. It was part of I think it was part of the set I had for the Sarissa buildings. Again, which I've done a video around using paint pens. But every English Civil War town's going to have a church, isn't it? So I started off by using paint pens for this. The red-brown colour and then the lighter grey. I stippled on London grey onto the stone to give a bit of texture, and then stippled on some, I think this was like Luftwaffe camo green around, just to show a bit of weathering. It's not the nicest piece of scenery ever, but as in the model's really nice. My paint job isn't the nicest ever, but it's quick. It gets it on the table. I don't want to spend too long ardurizing over it and worrying about it. Just get it on the table, and it's going to look great. So yeah, quite happy with that, and that's everything I painted this month. So let's look at what I've added to the collection over the last month. And since Salute, it's been quite a bit actually. I thought I would take it easy after a bit of a splurge at Salute, but if anything, that's galvanised the hobby. So it was my birthday in late April, and I was really lucky to get some fantastic presents from my dad and my gaming mates to do with the hobby. And this in front of you is part of this lovely Russian style 28mm town that I got from my dad. They're all by Sarissa, and there's 4 different types of buildings. There's a little shed, a tiny little house, this kind of medium-sized house, and then a big old church here. And within the set, you get 3 of these. I believe you get 2 of the sheds, and then 2 of the medium-sized houses, and this big old church, which I can only fit on the camera sideways at the moment, but you can see it's got that lovely globe as well, like kind of traditional Orthodox look. Fantastic. I've built them all up now. As I come on to, of actually Russian Civil War projects really getting going, but these will be fantastic to build an entire village. The Sarissa make great kits. What I like with Sarissa is these card details. They just add a little bit more to the texture of the building, a little bit more depth. And then yeah, got to get these all painted up. So I'll be certainly buying some brown craft paints for that. But yeah, fantastic. Really happy with these. And that's not the only thing I got for my dad as well. He picked up a lovely little old Flames of War Fallschirmjäger. This is the 7.5 LG40. So it's those recoilless anti-tank and just artillery pieces that they used. These are the glorious old Battlefront. Honestly, I think they're still the best 15mm miniatures out there. They still have them in stock, which is the main issue. But yeah, the Fallschirmjäger used these, very unique little bit of kit. So those will go towards my kind of Sicily, Italy, and 15mm that I've been slowly collecting as well. So yeah, very nice to add them to the collection. I was also really lucky to get some gifts from my gaming mates. The first one was a book about the hoplites, Phalanxes versus Legions by Osprey, by the same author that wrote Steel Lobsters. Really interesting history from the Pontic project that I'll be doing later down the line. That's currently on the bookshelf. But also they picked up a box of the new Italian paratroopers. Really excited about these. 30 is perfect because I can add a few squads of Nembo paratroopers to my Italian army. I'll be doing the European camouflage, which they don't have here, but it's a quite complicated free tone, but very unique looking free tone camouflage. So yeah, that'll be for another edition down the line, but these are gorgeous models. I'm really looking forward to building them. Lots of the samurai vests. And for the Italians, they had quite a lot of submachine guns. It's not something you tend to see in the regular Italians. So really looking forward to getting to them. Now, the purchases I made myself, I did treat myself to some big books here. It's the Blood and Valor game series, and then the End of Empires, which is their Russian Civil War and More supplement. So if you haven't heard of Blood and Valor, it's published, you can see there, by Firelock Games. They are most famous for Blood and Plunder, which is their pirate game. And it's a kind of mass skirmish game. There, can't quite fit those 2 big hardback books on my little filming setup. But Blood and Valor is a 40 plus models aside, I'd say, kind of skirmish. There's an interesting bidding system to it. I think it'd be perfect for the Russian Civil War and being able to get a game. Well, I have 0 Hour and I'm looking forward to playing 0 Hour. 0 Hour needing about 100 figures aside is just a little bit too far at the moment. So this is great that I can really get some games going now with Blood and Valor and use that to paint my Russian Civil War armies too, as the project is gaining a little bit of momentum, which is nice to see. But that wasn't the only Russian Civil War thing I picked up. I also picked up some of the new Artisan Designs Bolshevik commanders. So they have come up with a new range. Really nice models. I haven't actually had too many Artisan Design figures before, but these are really nice, bit characterful. The nice variety for Bolshevik commanders, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that range expand. And this is all through North Star, and you can also get through North Star the cobblestone castings Bolsheviks. I picked up 10 of these. Really, I don't think they were that expensive. They're about £18 maybe for 10 for metal 28mm. It's an absolute bargain. So I've got 10 of these. I won't show them all, but yeah, again, they're fitting really well. I think deliberately so with the artisan design ones. And let's see if I've got an Empress. I've got an Empress up here as well. And then looking at an Empress Ukrainian, they seem to fit in pretty well. The rifles are about the same size, even though artisan are usually a bit chunkier. So that'd be great. Another source of Russian Civil War figures. And then I also picked up a Maxim gun team, which is now been undercoated and ready to be painted. I like to paint the machine guns when I can, quickly as I can, because they're on a multi-base, so you can't really use them elsewhere without a bit of blue tack and jiggery pokery. So really some nice acquisitions. As you can see, the Russian Civil War project is taking a bit of momentum, and that kind of leads on to what I've been gaming in the last month. So what have I been gaming this month? It's been very varied actually. So to start off, earlier in May, my mate ran a free game Saga Games Day. There was 8 of us in the hall, and it was themed around the Battle of Kent. So kind of what if the pagans invaded? I was on Team Christian with my Anglo-Danes, and had 3 fantastic games. It was really nice. Sagas had a bit of a second wind in our area. It was big in 2014, 2015, but as I've kind of heard in other places, it's really picking up. It's a lovely fusion of board game and war games. It's quite different from anything else. So that was fantastic. It's nice to get some games in there. It's encouraged me to build up some of the plastic Dark Age Warriors I had and get them ready for spray painting, but I haven't actually put any paint on them yet. Also, I tried out On Guard, which is a Osprey Blue Book published about 10 years ago now, kind of swashbuckling sort of game. My friend picked it up in a sale, and he put on this really fun Three Musketeers game. So there was 2 of us fighting. One of us was the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan trying to attack the bad guys. Absolutely, really loads of fun. Swap sides because the game didn't take too long, and I managed to get up 2 wins. But a really interesting system around melee and sword fighting has, as you'd expect for something around swashbuckling, has that extra depth to it, which you wouldn't see in other rule sets. So that was really fun and nice to see just a kind of variety. And finally, just 2 days ago, I played first game of Blood and Valor, which is great. I've only had it for a month, and I usually let rule sets fester a bit on the bookshelf before they actually get a game. But I finally had just enough, if you ignore the British paratroopers on the bottom right of that photo, but just to test out, it's all a lot of it's unpainted, that if the system actually works. And I think it does for the Russian Civil War when it's that light rule set. For this project in the end, I'm going to be supplying everything. There's not many Russian Civil War wargamers. I'm probably the only one in Kent. Probably maybe the only one in the southeast. But my mates will be happy to play if I can supply everything, and it's that right level of can do it on a Tuesday at the club, at the weekly club, and get a game and get a finish, and it gives a nice painting target too. So that was really fun. But next steps, as I said, broadside in June. So that'll be a big kind of push on the epic, bit of terrain, and then another unit of pike and shot. And then after that, I'm not too sure really. I've got several different things I can do. I can add to my Anglo-Danes Saga. I've got my Russian Civil War stuff here. I'm going to a 2-day bar action tournament in November, and I need to paint some more British paratroopers for that. But do I fancy painting more Denison? Not at the moment. So lots of choice, and I'm not sure. So I guess we just have to wait and see. So thank you very much, everyone, and that's Wargamer Kent signing out.